Quick demo with this, just so you kind of know how I have mine set up. So you should be able to see me, red, orange, and yellow. You should be already familiar with this. So I normally point out that we're looking for those blue and black spots, because that's going to be our colder areas. That's the way it's set up, is black, cold, white, hot. So I want the black or the cold areas to actually move or to take shape. So when I say take shape, obviously we're looking for head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. That's kind of the cool thing about this, is that's what we've caught with this guy in the past. Hopefully we'll capture with that again. I also love to give you stats about the equipment that I'm handing you, because I do about 200 of these a year. So the stats actually add up pretty quickly. I capture 4 to 5 pieces on this guy per year that I would put my stamp of approval on. Not like 4 to 5 pieces per episode. I'm not a TV show host, and I'm definitely not a YouTuber. So again, I like to make sure you guys understand, like, this is going to be real stuff if and when we catch it. So 4 to 5 per year. It's a pretty slim chance we might capture something tonight, but we won't catch it if we're not recording. So that's the whole point. I also have this set up with a blue dot bouncing around the screen, showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops. So we're at 67 tonight, so I'm looking for 52 and colder when that blue dot moves across the screen. We're always going to have blue and black in there, as I'm sure you know that windshields, some sign metal that caught the wind, a can on the ground. That's why I want that blue dot to actually move across the screen at a much lower temperature than our ambient of 67. So this one particular, Wayne, you're going to actually... All right, well, we're going to spread out. I'm going to be monitoring, because EMF here can get a little wild and crazy. And we're going to do a few round robins around here and let you guys do your thing and kind of get used to it.
What was the temperature it goes below?
52.
It's in the 40s.
On what?
Probably looking at that sign.
You got the sky in view, so there you go. So he was getting like in between the trees, where the sky is in between the branches up there. That's what you were capturing.
Gotcha.
Where, how, when, and president?
Age, how, where, president.
Age, how, when, and president.
Yeah, no, where. Age, how, where, president.
Age, how,
you can ask anything
where,
about her
president.
desk. Like, she's pretty open about it. So.
Yeah, just stay away from kids. Gotcha.
Got it. But
age, how, where,
president.
when, president.
Yep. Just go through the 5 letters. There you go.
Gotcha.
I'm going to mainly be monitoring.
So I'm okay just to wander around?
Oh yeah, just stay away from the cars. So if somebody's going to their car, just go in the opposite direction.
And
Yeah, this is the place where, this is a prominent woman here in Charleston from the 1700s. Smoking is really not her thing.
Gotcha.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Three.
but I would say I'm getting like, ooh.
But if you're
Or
not
boop.
hearing it, you weren't meant to hear it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I like to look at this. I did get a couple of like reads on this. Those aren't the bats that I'm used to. So do you have any type of EMF meter at all?
Yes.
Okay, so just to kind of give you an idea, because I don't know which model you have, most of them only go up to about 25 is usually the reading that they have.
I guarantee you'll know this one, but I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one, but you'll know it. It's kind of middle of the road, I would say.
Got a tri-field?
It's got the antenna on top of it.
But I did get a 19 and a 23. So the average for this space is about 18 to 22. So I mean, we're falling right into what the normal averages are.
That's EPB. Where you at?
Got everything in there, but
Oh, that's what I did with them. I put them into a separate little pocket.
actually, one of my buddies uses one of those. So I don't know how high that one there actually goes up to. But the blinky light doodad that I showed you earlier, it only goes to 25. And I think like some of those more digital ones might go up to like 50. The tri-field goes to 100. This one goes to 200. I mean, that way we can actually, measure and gauge what the hell's going on.
Okay.
But I did get a 19 and a 23. I'm going to do another quick, lap around here. I do want you to continue listening. Have you heard anything coming out of there at all?
I'm hearing stuff, but and
Anything
I'm hearing not anything legible or
Okay.
whatever. So in other words, I feel like I've asked questions and it's been something to like wanting a response, but I'm not picking up what the response is.
That's fair. And it's not always a direct response either, just so you know. So sometimes they just have to grab whatever they can. Looks like that thing might have died on you.
No, it's lit up, but for some reason I'm not getting
The back light.
the back one.
But yeah, I use these millimeters. I actually have two of them. Just because I passed them out. I mean, obviously, I'm doing the work with two other people that were on my hand one device too. But I'm going to do another quick little round robin. So Wayne, did you have anything weird show up? Okay, so let me just see if there's any other numbers. You listen in for another minute or two, and then we'll kind of meet up back here again and kind of see what's going on. I don't have anything on the word list that's relevant. You get the word smell. I thought that was kind of weird.
That one I can see a little bit better.
While you're listening, see if you get anything on. See if you get a take. Okay, Elijah, one more little round robin. We'll be out of your hair. First something nice and clear. Hello.
you tell me your name?
Keep in mind.
So I definitely had two responses. I said, can you tell me your age? And then I heard 20s. And then later on, like just within a few seconds later, I heard 43. So just so you know, it said 20s, and then it said, I was like, oh, that was an intelligent response, and then less than 5 seconds later, it said 43.
So
And then I said, can you tell me your name? And I heard the song Glycerine come on by. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not a downer day. Hey, hey, is that Glycerine? Anyway, that's the song that came on. I thought it was Glycerine. Could be wrong.
it's not always going to be a direct answer. So you might
Right.
have to
That's the reason
question.
I was like, oh, I recognize that song. As a
So,
result.
if you asking like for her name and age, stuff like that, like that's usually when I'm giving those questions to my guests, the mothers. It's to try to get them to look for that direct response, but you might not always get it.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So the 43 is a damn close number to something else that's going on. In the 20s she was in her 20s when she got married, so she might have just been trying to grab out a number to tell you about when
Right,
she got
and
married,
that's the
not at her
reason.
time of death.
Whenever I heard two responses, 20s and 43, whenever I was asking for an age, I was like, I'm not moving. I'm standing right here.
So now that family's gone, I'm gonna do again one more quick read, and then we'll kind of regroup in the back and keep listening.
What's a good question to ask again?
I would still stick with her death. I mean, the death questions are usually pretty easy to grab. I mean, asking her where she's buried is a big deal. Like, if we get that answer, that's verifiable proof. So, I mean, if you want to stick to that and just find different ways to ask it, you asking, hey, can you tell me this? That's still a yes/no question. Because she might say, no, I can't tell you that. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So, Eliza,
It's hard to
can
get
you
away
repeat-
from it. It's almost like
It
a
is.
habit.
Can you tell me what your name is? Can you repeat your name back to me, please? Can we verify that you're here by you saying your name, or give us your maiden name?
Yeah, I was asking about the name, and that's whenever I heard that song come on. Hey, day, and I was like, okay.
Oh,
is
that's
there
actually
something-
that's Nirvana.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nirvana.
That smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah.
Sorry, now that you told me a little bit more of the lyrics, I'm like, yep, I got that. I would say it's time to call it. Go ahead and hit stop on your camera. I had that device, but that device just broke just a few nights ago. So I'm waiting on the replacement, obviously from the insurance company, because they're pretty pricey. So if you ever look into it, it's a fun device, but it's never a standalone device. I just know you like to look into the gear. But anyway, so moving
Yeah,
on.
I've seen them, and those companies. I've seen them where they went out of business. The people who manufactured went out of business sometimes too. So then, knowing that, I'm hesitant to spend that kind of money on it, knowing that I might not be able to have the.
So GoStop is definitely not going anywhere. GoStop is a pretty big supplier for me. They're actually the ones that made your S-Box, your spare box. So that's their design. And it's probably... It's,
I mean, I think that's the one I was looking at, but I mean, or at least maybe they quit manufacturing that device.
No, they actually upgraded it.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Well,
have an
then-
outlet. Yeah, they have an S-Box 2 now.
I took it as they had quit making.
It still takes the same batteries and all that stuff, but you can still get all the replacement parts because I still use them. But the S-Box 2, it's the exact same thing, just with, I think, 2 extra features in it. But moving on, the person, Ralph, goes up to the doctor and he basically states, dude, I know this guy, the coachman, he's going to try to kill you. He's like, but I got friends at 59 Church Street, you can rent a room from them instead, and you'll be safe and good to go. Well, Doc took him up on the offer, and the two gentlemen became friends. And the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money, he's making his own. So she got wind of this up in Rhode Island, and she's coming down so they could be married, and Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is the reason I hate the story. It's a giant cliche. Every haunted city you've ever visited, because you guys have been quite a few, is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one, just this one just happens to be a doctor. So why am I telling you about this in Jeweler's Alley? Well, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So on the way home, they're discussing the play they just saw, and they're arguing over the new actress that they just saw. They'd never seen her before, and Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic, and Ralph didn't. So the argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island, and it got really ugly between the two of them, and they go their separate ways. Ralph the next day went to his friends at the newspaper and placed an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a "you're a disgrace to society" kind of shit. Doc saw this ad but rebutted with, "Let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all, and somebody's going to die." So they came down here. By the way, this whole argument started over an actress. I just like to point out how dumb shit was back in the 1700s and how things escalated very, very quickly. But anyway, they came down here back to back. They took their paces away and they turned. Dr. Ladd pointed his gun in the air and shot his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend, just needed the courage to show up, which is often what happens at duels. However, Ralph still has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He didn't die. He fell to the ground, obviously in massive pain. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786. The anniversary of that was, 2 nights ago? Because the duel would have allegedly happened on the 23rd or the 24th, depending on which version of the story that you're reading. So we are just past that. So every once in a while, like during these anniversaries, that's usually...
I thought you said November.
He died on November 2nd, 10 days after the duel. So
Okay,
I'm thinking
okay, now I'm with you. Now I'm with you.
So, but I also like to point out that the doctor, he died, because he refused medical treatment. And first off, it's 1786. Gunshot wounds back then are a lot different than what they are now.
Right.
So he is a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed because he died. Now, every ghost tour that walks through here is telling their guests to listen for the whistles. I'm sure you heard the people whistling from that other group. They all do it. But just remember, we do have a voice recorder, and your camera is recording audio as well. If we're going to get a disembodied whistle, more than likely it's going to come out of one of those two devices. But I can't tell you how many times I stumble across the recording of yours that I get the whistling part of a song and then the word doctor immediately after from a commercial. So again, can't tell you how many times, and it's part of the reason why I don't let go of this story, is because I keep getting evidence from it. So it is what it is, and I find what I find. The guy will follow us up and around the corner because we're still close enough to the alley, and we'll get little subtle clues to him over there. But let's talk about how I got booted out of here now that that other group has passed. So the alley didn't go all the way through the way we came in. We're going to go further back in time before Dueler's Alley. So we know where it's Philly now, that it was before it was Dueler's. Now we're going to go back to what it was before that. This is where they kept all the livestock for the city of Charleston. So it was called Cow Alley. So the word cow and livestock and meat and all of those kind of things, they're weird terms, but we get it all the time. But the whole reason I'm telling you this is because the alley it started out down there by Queen Street and worked its way this way over the years to as what we know it now. But those bricks down at the other side are older than the ones we're standing on. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There is a full handprint from a slave child down there, fingerprint swipes and others. So I used to take my groups all the way down there for a history lesson. And it was history only, no paranormal, no ghost story about it, because I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there staring at that handprint in the afterlife. Even the imprint of the essence of it would give off, we're still not going to get anything from it. So November 26th of 2020, I took my entire group down there after their history lesson to go show them the brick. And they all stopped and huddled around the damn brick. I got 10 people with all of my gadgets waiting for something to happen. Well, I know nothing's going to happen because the kid's not here. He's probably hanging out with his mom somewhere, wherever they are happiest. But anyway, I was trying to shoo him along because we were right outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was just trying to be respectful, and I didn't realize we were out of bounds for tours. I was still new at this. So the new owner of that came out screaming his head off at me. My daughter was on the tour that night. She was about 14 at the time, and she thought it was hysterical that her father's getting yelled at. She was all about it. But anyway, we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I did work in upper management for Walmart, and people played over towels on Thanksgiving and scarred me for life. So I don't tour on holidays anymore. I just don't do it. But anyway, so we moved on, and the next day after that was Black Friday, so it was the 28th. And I called my partner that I had at the time that brought me into tourism, and I told him what happened so I could try to figure out what the hell to do next. And he laughed at me, just like my daughter did on the tour that night. And he said, "You're only allowed to go down halfway. Other than that, it's residential." So he's like, "You're going to have to reroute your group and figure it out." And he hung up. I'm like, "Oh shit, now I got to figure it out." So what I told my group that night was, I don't believe in the next story because I get into vampires, not pirates. The next story, I would normally tell you about pirates, but we've been kicked out of there too. But anyway, the point of the story is that before he left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne, and I did not tell them which pirate we were going to be looking into. If I say that we're going to be diving into pirates, who's the first real pirate that you would think of?
Blackbeard,
Right.
Anne's Revenge.
Right. Queen Anne's Revenge would be one of them, but we were actually going to be looking into Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. Yes. So I took him around the corner. I told him what I did know about pirates, which wasn't much because it wasn't my thing then. And somebody else with another spirit box heard the number 300. Don't know what it means. Write it down, research it. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact...
Was that here?
No, it was not here. It was actually down in like the Nassau, like Jamaican
That's what I
Islands.
was saying. Yeah.
But the fact that we had, because she does on that location over there, is because it's what we call a familiar. The building that we would look into would be something that was being constructed at the same time she came here, and there's not many buildings left from that time era. So we will still get bleed over from her when we're looking into the other story that I'm going to be telling you tonight, just because we're not allowed into the space of where we would normally like dive in. But I like to point out, like, there are things that still pop up. It's bleed over. We get it all the time. That's where the curse for me of knowing what these buildings all do comes into play. I'm going to check the word list because it did buzz on me a few times in my pocket.
That reminds me, I did do paranormal. I used to live at the coast of North Carolina, right at Beaufort, and I did do a paranormal investigation there as well. And that was pretty cool, but it was like, still, it was, I didn't really have a whole lot of instruction, just done for myself.
So I'm pretty excited about this, by the way. It does say the word anniversary, Wayne, in case you were wondering, because we are, again, the anniversary of the duel. Again, there's 20 different versions of this story. They all have a different date of when the duel actually occurred. So we could be on the anniversary today. I don't know. But I am excited about this because even if it's not, we're still within a day or two of the anniversary of the duel itself. It does say climbing right now, that doesn't mean anything, but that anniversary is probably the first term we've had all night where I was like, oh, finally, we got a little bit of something. I don't normally gauge EMF in here because it has to go above an 8 because of the lampposts, and it might be like once a quarter we get like a 9 to a 12. So my apologies if I didn't bring that out and seem like super interested in it. It's a rarity to find anything down here with this guy, but we have caught some weird orbs and things like that with thermal, things like that. So when we get up and around the corner, I'll take that camera from you and give you a new one and tell you about the story up there. It's kind of weird. I'm doing a replacement of a replacement just to stay out of the way of the other ghost tours, and I don't always like to tell the story that I was replacing the Anne Bonny story with because it's got a curse to it. So it's kind of like, let them have it. I'll talk about something else. So we're going to be toying with a new area, and it's a very quick and short story, but we're going to be getting some footage for about 10 minutes or so with the camera that I'll hand over to you. We're going to be using an infrared night vision camera, but we're going to be using different types of lighting with it. So I'll show you how I'm piecing that together when we get up there.
That's cool.
Then, of course, you'll be listening in for that 10 minutes while he's filming, and we'll see what we can capture. So it is still a new story. I'm still learning more about it, which means it is evolutionizing. So it's evolving. So that's the hope here, is I keep getting more and more every time I go over there. So I haven't been going over there every night like I wanted to, but because I keep getting drawn back to the story I don't want to tell with stuff that's being heard or said. So, wow, we're the only ones down here. And you probably had a great shot down there. By the way, this is probably the most picturesque place in Charleston, like day or night. Like, it's gorgeous down here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed too, when we were standing underneath that tree, did you guys smell anything different? Something weird? Something odd, familiar?
No.
That's an anise tree. So that's the spice that they use to make like black licorice. Northerners use it for like Christmas cookies, things like that. So it only comes out in the fall. So I almost stood there on purpose because I'm like drawn to it every time we come down here, just because it's a familiar smell for me from Christmas cookies back home. So again, it's if you smell something when we pass the tree, because we're going to exit the way we came in. But that's why you know like fall's definitely hitting us, because in the spring, the other side, all of those bushes, that's honeysuckle. So this whole place smells like honey, and it's covered in bees. So yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, let's go. Doc's going to follow us. So we'll kind of see what else we get like along the way, and then we're going to give you a different camera. So yeah, you can hit stop on it now if you want to.